goes out in the
You can
merchandise
go
room.
to the stiff party.
Weddings,
Weddings.
graduations.
You know,
As
there's
I
others
said, go
throwing
look
out these
online,
big
get
checks.
them online.
Yes.
So we would send them out,
And
in
same
the
with
hopes that
Kenny
they would
and
be
same
like,
with,
oh, come on,
Greg
like,
Kid.
help us get started, but
Greg Kid.
Yes, but
honestly,
the
a lot
bulk,
of
you
them
see, were,
didn't.
the bulk of the letters were earlier.
Yeah, but you
That's
you
what
had
you're
a good
supposed to do these
return
days.
on
I've never
those,
Well, you know,
right?
it's funny because it's
One.
pretty traditional,
Out of 56.
my experience. that-
Yes,
that
really,
jazz
my dear, I
musicians
couldn't believe it.
Don't do it.
That's-
You know, rock, they got
You know, I've-
40 feet
all
of
places I
anything you don't
volunteer at.
need.
Well, that's right, they're, you know, it's because they're like super into
And I've always
merchandising,
done
you know,
better.
just in general, so.
And when I go to Newport, which I will do for 3 days
And
this
they
year,
did, there are the lists.
there may
of
be
the
out of
donations.
60 artists, 8
Yes.
that have CD.
We are
And generally they come and, you know, they'll spend a half hour in a booth signing autographs.
Well, you know, it's the time to sell, I guess, because there's, I mean,
Oh, yes,
there's no
I
other,
do.
there's no
Get 'em
other
high,
way.
right.
How are you?
Hi, Beth.
I always feel bad for the artists because, you know, they go and they sell maybe 15 CDs and 15 people want to have a whole conversation.
What was the difference?
Well, you know,
Just
also
curious.
it's just kind of a,
This had
it's
water on it.
whatever.
Oh,
That is what it is.
yeah.
But, yeah, it's part of,
I don't know if anybody's sitting
especially
there
if
either.
you're
oh,
I was gonna say.
independent, you know, unless you have a label or
I
something.
think it was from the umbrella,
It
probably.
is important.
However you do it.
Your butt. On that note.
Let's start the meeting.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's yours, right?
Well, it's for anyone who needs them. There's copies of minutes, agenda, and our financials.
Oh, yes, please, agenda.
Okay, here's the notes.
We all need that, don't we?
There
There's
you go.
minutes from last week.
Oh,
if-
Does anybody else need?
Just pass them around.
Do you want a minutes?
That might make sense.
I read everything, but I wouldn't mind an agenda to scribble
Yes.
on. So is this
Continuing this way.
I brought my notes out
one of
tonight.
these?
Just pass the stuff.
We're passing over there.
There we are.
There we go.
Oh, I see, you can
This
have
is
to
just
go that
last-
way.
Anyone who wants to start things, and this is for anyone who
You're
wants
welcome.
financials. Copy one.
Leave it right there. Oh, leave it right there.
We tried.
It doesn't even look simple, so I didn't worry about it.
Thank you all. This is agenda and notes, I guess. Ooh. Oh, wow.
I'm going for the first thing on the agenda.
I think that's a good plan.
Welcome.
Hi.
Nice to have everybody here.
Thank you for coming.
That's the easy one.
Yeah, yep.
Well done.
The minutes from May. We all gotten a chance to take a look at those.
Looks good to me.
Yep.
Do we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Anybody second it?
Second.
Minutes, are they approved?
Good.
Okay. And, Dave, manager's notes?
Thank you, Beth. So the first thing I was just gonna say, and you may have had a chance to look at it, but we are in the very ends of this fiscal year. So I did just put together this spreadsheet that shows real simply our year's worth of events. The ones in blue are Opera House productions, the ones in black are rentals, and it just sort of breaks them out. And the good news is, we did fine. I think we, certainly after getting that last SIF Selects tomorrow, we will have hit our rental projection. And to me, we lived up to our mission as far as Opera House productions in that we brought really great stuff here and we didn't lose money.
Good.
So I'm pleased. It is interesting, and we don't have to talk about it, because we've kind of gone over this a little bit. You can glance and see what did well, what didn't do so well as far as ticket sales or finances. And it is, there's no big surprises, but we did learn some good stuff along the way. And so, unless anybody has questions, I think it's fairly straightforward. and I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's kind of at a glance.
I think it looks great, and I think that, considering some of the shows and some of those losses, that it was all made up, sort of, in the end, that everything kind of worked its way out. I think you did a great job bringing in some really good stuff this year.
Well, thank you. Yeah, every show we brought in here was a good show.
Yeah,
Whether or not it was a real profitable show. So at least I feel like that's a big part of our mission, just to bring good stuff to the mid-coast. So I think we did, so.
Building updates?
Well, actually, if I may, I snuck a new item on.
Uh-oh.
I know.
I mean, Dave.
Well, I don't feel so bad because I don't really have any building notes because I was unable to meet with our architect, which I hoped I was going to, but for one reason or another, it didn't happen this past week. But here's what I'd like to share with you all that I find sort of interesting and encouraging, and it's about ticketing. To give you some quick background, we were with a company called Ticket Biscuit, and this was a company that really just was a ticketing platform, and it also had a component that processed credit cards, because at the time we got them, we had no way to do that. So, hey there, Mark, welcome. So Ticket Biscuit was then bought by another company called eTix, and eTix said, we're gonna honor the agreement you have with Ticket Biscuit, we're just gonna go forward with it. And they provided pretty much the same function of a ticketing platform that we could embed in our website and allow us to take credit cards. Turned out, and it took me till just recently to figure this out, because it was very confusing and murky, but it turns out they weren't exactly honoring our original deal.
uh-oh.
And what they were doing was, they kept the fees that were charged to the Opera House, but they were putting automatic fees to the ticket buyer.
Oh, Lord.
So before eTix, we could charge whatever we wanted. We could have no fee, we set the fee based on a formula. And we always did it to just try and cover what we had to pay out for fees. But it turns out now we are unable with this agreement to do a no-fee ticket should we want to, because it's automatic. They automatically add a service fee to the ticket buyer. So I went to them and I said, this isn't really our agreement. I'd really like to go back to our original agreement. That would work for me. And they said, well, I'll tell you what. It was almost like buying a car. The guy said, well, I talked to my manager. I thought, oh boy, here we go. And they said, well, we'll reduce the print at home, that 25 cents we charge. They gave us some sort of meaningless little stuff. And I said, well, I'll get back to you. Well, when our good friend Karina was here, she had done a study at Carrie's request. And it's not the first time we've done it. We've done a couple of these, but looking to see what was out there. And I pulled it this past week and read it through. And there's a company called ThunderTix. And they are a new and up-and-coming company. But they are an interesting model that is different from every other model in that they don't charge you based on a dollar amount. They charge you on per ticket sold.
Yep.
So a $10 ticket, a $50 ticket, they just charge you, and it's quite a bit less. What they do is they have these categories, and they say small events. If you sell up to 100 tickets a month, you pay $60 a month. If you sell up to 300 tickets, you pay $145. If you sell up to 1,500 tickets, you pay $6.99, and so on.
And that's
But
just
you
the
have to
flat rate.
subscribe, so you have to choose what tier you're at.
But
It's
you can
not.
change it every month.
Oh.
That's the interesting thing. If you
Before your
say January we
your
got nothing,
subscription's up.
you can knock it down. They actually have a maintenance cost, which is $10 a month, and that's just to keep the lights on in your system.
Wow.
So base
So you
is
can kind of go
$7.
back and forth as you choose. There's no contract. You just sort of, create an account and do it for as long as you want, and then you can leave. The way it works is, say you do the 300 tickets a month, when you go over your 300, they charge you 59 cents a ticket over that. And it varies
feel like
slightly
I'm getting
depending on
myself
which.
That's not bad, though.
category. It's really not. It does require, if we were to do something like this, we would have to get our own credit card portal, because they do not do that. They just do ticket sales. and integrate it into your website. But they recommend a bunch of places, and I've been dealing with one of them, they're called Stripe.
Yes.
And they are just a typical little credit card, not little, but you know, it's pretty straightforward, and they just charge you 2.9% and 30 cents per sale, which is not bad. So,
Have you looked at Square too?
I have not.
I think it's probably similar. We used to use Square at the end, and they
Yeah.
were, and the thing was, is that you got your money like that.
Same with this.
Square is the most used site
Yep.
around town, around everywhere.
Yep.
They've really
There's a
owned that
bunch, there's
market.
Authorize.net, there's Square, there's Stripe, there's one that PayPal does, which is called Braintree, and they're all,
Yeah.
We're using
PayPal
Braintree
owns
now.
Braintree, basically.
I would,
Yeah.
if I were doing this and you want your money faster, I would go with a Square or a Stripe over Braintree, just because into your account, it's
Yep.
not quite as quick.
I've been looking at Stripe so far, because they were the cheapest of all the ones I looked at. But just to give you an idea, I thought, okay, how would this stack up to our current deal with eTix? So to try and do apples to apples, I said, okay, what if we sold 700 $15 tickets in a month? What would it cost in each case? Well, for eTix, it would cost us $1,526. And if we did ThunderTix using Stripe, it would cost us $895.
And that's with
So
the, with the
it's-
fees included?
That's everything.
Okay.
So it's cheaper, and I just like it better. I mean, and we're gonna find out, it may interact with our website better, because eText never played nice with our Wix website.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know, the images aren't very good, and it's kinda limiting.
Have you asked them, if you use this, do they have specific people that you have to work with on here? So if somebody's booking a ticket through these guys, right? Do they book directly through these people?
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
So I'm going online, I
Like
wanna
a
purchase a
rental?
ticket.
Oh,
No,
to buy.
I wanna purchase a ticket. And so I'm just gonna put in my credit card information. Are they processing the credit card?
Yes.
So you need to find out the processors that they work with, right? And
Right.
they might not interface with the Square or Stripe.
They do interface with Stripe. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't
Okay,
understand your question. ThunderTix, the ticket people, they do no processing at all. They say, you choose a credit card processor. You can use an existing one, or we recommend these, among them Stripe.
Okay.
So Stripe would be, and the way it would work is, ThunderTix has just an auto pay. You give them a credit card number, and they would take what you owe out, which I checked with Jody, and she said, well, that's actually simpler than what we're doing now. And then Stripe, or someone like them, they would, you know, as your ticket payments go in, they take out their fee and automatically put it in your bank account.
yeah,
So you get it that day,
Yep.
which now we have to wait, it's like a week after the show. So we'll be getting the money faster. It's kind of less paperwork, and it could save us money. And I think it may be a better interface with our website. We have a trial account set up, and we've loaded some events into it. And so we're gonna get our IT person to momentarily embed it in our website so we can look, just for like 15 minutes. And just see how it acts and how it looks.
I was gonna say Wix, their website should tell you how, because they'll have preferred. I know Stripe works really well with Wix. I don't know about Thunder Tickets with
They
Wix.
say they do. When I went to, you know, there's all these kind of links that will tell you which companies they prefer. And so
Right.
there is some sort of harmony between Wix and ThunderText, according to them, that they have people who use it. The other thing is there's a place called Vinegar Hill, which is a venue south of here. The woman who runs it, we kind of know because she used to book Bob Marley. Her name's Sarah Deering, and they use ThunderText, and they love it. She said it works great, it's super easy, you get paid right away. She said, call me, we'll talk about it. So we're still in the exploring stage, but I think it could be better. And it gives us some possibilities. For example, if the fee is whatever we set it to be, it would be really easy to say, no fee ticketing, and make that sort of a trademark. Or we could do what some places do, and we could say, there's a $1 fee on every transaction for the Community Arts Fund. You know, which I think has a feel-good component, and gives us a little something, and I don't think anyone would complain because they're paying $1 if
Right.
they're buying $40 worth of tickets. So
But
those
it
are
adds
options.
up over time.
Well, yeah, every little bit helps.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, are they collecting information? So are you gonna know who's buying these tickets, so you're gonna get name,
Yeah.
address, email?
They have a pretty robust emailing thing. They interface with MailChimp and Constant Contact. So feature-wise, there seems to be a lot of useful stuff. You know, eTix's thing is, they would give you 50 different reports, and it's like, well, we don't really need that. You know, we just need it to be easy to use for both us and the buyer, and fairly cheap and straightforward. You know, it's not like, their features felt like they were in a place that didn't benefit us that much. ThunderTick seems like it's a little bit more promotional stuff, which I would look forward to using, so.
Dave, does Stripe have, just thinking maybe into the future, does Stripe have devices you can use if you're remote?
Yeah.
Like,
You can do any way you get online. They have an app that turns your phone into a barcode reader.
oh, cool,
So you can scan tickets.
Great.
Yeah, so you could use a tablet or your phone, or it's pretty flexible.
cool.
The only suggestion I make is to make sure you check out Square, because almost all of the artists I know use Square and are very happy with it.
Right.
Most of those, I know Boynton McKay uses it, I know the coffee shop in Rockport uses it. And interesting thing, what happens now is I get, because I'm in the Square system, the first time, every time I buy something, no matter where I buy it, I get an email receipt
Yep.
from, you know, so even if I go
This
to
does that too.
a new place with Square, well, I'm saying because Square is so prevalent around everywhere, it may make sense because so many people are so comfortable with it. I think that's what Josh uses upstairs when he comes here.
Right. Although it's gonna be embedded in the website. No one will really know what it is. You'll just go to the website like you do now and say, I want 2 tickets, here's my credit card number.
Yeah, but your guy would say, you could actually use it, you could get a Square thing and use it at the box office. Do you still have to use cash at the box office, or did we change that?
I'm not sure I'm
When
following.
you're buying tickets upstairs, day of show,
Yep.
is that still cash?
It's cash or credit card.
Oh, you can use credit card, okay, because that did change, because,
Well, yeah, and I would say the only thing I've noticed, having worked events where Square has been, some people have had a real,
Are they glitchy or?
yeah, and I don't know if it was operator glitch or they weren't getting, because you definitely need Wi-Fi to have it work,
Yeah.
and it's gotta be a good, strong
It's
connection.
less of an issue here.
So that, I think, was more of an issue. So, and I'm sure it's the exact same thing with Stripe. So just to be made aware, if we're, selling in the box office, that,
Of course, the box office computer is hardwired, so it's not
Oh, okay.
quite so dependent on Wi-Fi.
Okay. okay.
Which may be the difference between people like Everyman who.
Yep, exactly, who are using their iPads to
Right.
do it.
Are these microphones?
Yes,
What a good idea. Why don't we speak into them?
they're very sensitive. They hear you right now.
They do.
They do.
What about all of us?
Oh, it won't be wired to the room. So it's only,
So if I give it to you, your voice isn't going to
No.
come.
no.
This is for streaming, for people who aren't here can watch it at home.
Oh. And they'd want to do that, would they?
We'll find out. That's a good question.
yes, they
Never
will.
know.
We have all the committee meetings now streaming live, and you'd be amazed at how many people are watching all the meetings, committee meetings. That's why we made the change.
And the nice thing is, you can tell.
And of
how many
course-
people watch.
Yes, and of course, I'm one of the people that helped institute that, and I'm sitting there outside the other door going, why isn't the door open to go to the Tucker room upstairs? That's why I was late, I'm sitting there, is the meeting still on? I had to look and it says, because it still says Tucker Room on the town website.
Oh,
But I've looked for the email, did he cancel this one or is it the next one? And it finally says French conference room, I went, duh.
So when the person comes in, your IT guy, to do this ThunderTix demo, do you mind giving me, I'd love to come down and see
absolutely.
what it looks like.
Heather
Heather,
is our IT person.
sorry Heather.
No, what a
Your
good idea.
Your idea woman.
Two heads are always better than one.
Yep.
Dave, I'll send you this article, but this is a really good one on Stripe versus Square.
Oh, great, thank you.
And, yeah, Square is very ubiquitous with small companies because it's basically just an app you download,
Right.
right? So as long as you've got Wi-Fi, anyone with a little dongle can use it, which is why a lot of these little guys and people
Yeah.
who go to festivals with their thing will use Square. But this has like what the additional feature Stripe has. The fees are exactly the same. Stripe is a little bit more technical, so you need a developer to help with integration and stuff like
Yep.
that, which again is a one-off thing for you, but
Right.
Could you send that to me too? I'd love to see it.
Absolutely.
Love to learn about that.
Okay,
So that is kind of how far we are with that. We're still in the sort of exploratory stage, but I think it could be an improvement to what we have. So I will keep you posted with everything I learn as
That's
we go.
great information too.
And a great change to quit giving money to people that don't really deserve it.
Yeah, it was never a great fit, and, I think we sort of stuck with it because it was easier than getting out of it. But I think the time has come to see if we can improve it, so.
Okay, did you have another hidden agenda?
Yep. Yes, just one more. It's sort of budget related. I just wanted to say that I'm happy to say we came in just a wee bit under budget with our operational stuff. So we're just stocking up on, we're getting some replacement lamps for the projector and, stuff like that. Some lights and different things, just sort of parts and supplies before our fiscal year runs out. As soon as July 1 has come, Juniper is doing a light purchase, which was part of the money that went through the budget. And it's gonna make a huge improvement, and we're pretty excited. Basically, all the stage is gonna have LED color washes on it, which is gonna
Lovely.
just give us a lot more options. And we're getting some cyc lights, which are long, thin lights
Great.
that turn the
Great.
fabric cyc different colors, which she's been
Great.
kind of doing with our old lights, but this will be better.
Yeah.
And then she's gonna take some of our existing LEDs and put them in the Blue Cafe, so there will be a small but way better light system up there.
Good, good.
It's a
Nice.
4-light system as opposed to kind of the one old light that's clamped to a pipe. So,
There'll be light.
it's gonna be a really big,
Great.
change that I think people will notice. And it's not really a ton of money in the grand scheme of things, so, that's a good thing. And I think that's all I have to say for my manager's notes.
Okay, but now we're on to upcoming shows.
Yeah, and I don't really have much to say about that either.
Can I add one thing about the July 1st?
Sure.
July 1st, the other thing that was okayed in the budget is the third floor bathroom
Yes.
will be redone and become a real bathroom with caterer sinks and stuff like that, so it'll make the third floor much more usable.
And thank you for being an advocate for that.
It's only taken me 3-4 years. I think I'd get a little quicker
In
at
the
it.
grand scheme of things, not bad.
I know.
Right.
Very, very excited about that.
And when is that scheduled to take place?
We want to do it in January because we're dark. There's
Quiet.
nothing happening. It's indoor
Right.
work.
So it'll be up and running for Camden Conference.
That's the hope, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The only thing we would have had on the third floor in January is a Blue Cafe, which we will just not have, and instead, Kristen is working on a sort of a literary salon in the Tucker Room instead, so.
Nice.
Oh, good.
That should work out
Yeah,
okay.
good idea.
So that's our plan.
Good show.
perfect.
I wanna hear more about upcoming shows. Can't let him off the hook that easy, come on.
I'm chop chopping this tonight, man.
I have a question, because I just saw it on the banner out there. The Rotary's Music by the Sea. It says Opera House if it's raining.
Yep.
Are we prepared, like there's a big band and a bath band and?
He wants to know if you know this is gonna happen.
It sounds like he does, so that's
Yep,
good.
We do this every year.
Okay.
They hire us as a rain location. And the hope is that it'll be a beautiful day and they won't need us. But, you know, basically we have people on call.
Got
They
it.
make a call. Whoever's doing sound over there tends to just come here and bring in what they need.
Got it.
And Juniper's on the case.
Which is Wallace Tennis.
Right now, it seems like it's
I don't think
rainy
it
the
is,
day
actually.
before and the day after, but the 4th looks good. So,
They started with Wallace Tent. I was talking to this guy, Clark.
Yeah, Clark, yeah.
Clark in the Rotary, and he said they went with someone out of Bangor.
Oh, interesting.
And he couldn't remember the name. He was gonna email it to me.
I'll be anxious. He was bragging about Wallace Tennis being the major solution, because we use somebody different for Jazz in June. And
Yeah, because it had been Scott Perrow, who of course
Right.
now is not around. So, yeah, he started searching for
Oh, good. Okay.
When I find out, I'll let you know, just
Yeah.
for curiosity's sake.
Okay,
Jazz in June.
you need to.
I mean, I think the overall results were very good. We lost a little money, but if you were to sell all the merchandise which we have paid for, we would actually made $3,000 or $4,000. So we have merchandise in storage that'll be used next year. We're actually gonna start selling it online on the website. We're working on a way to properly do that, you know, shipping envelopes, USPS, cheap shipping, and start selling hats and t-shirts. So basically break even with the merchandise upstairs. What worked? I think the artist selection was really good. Both Saturday afternoon, Right Tracks Friday night, Saturday afternoon, we have 5 very different artists out at the Snow Bowl, and then obviously the feature concert Saturday night. And all I can say about that is very few people left before 11 o'clock, and nobody stays at the Opera House till 11 o'clock at night. So
Right.
that's a tribute to the quality of the music. Peter, obviously,
I know that first guy was pretty good.
yeah, he was good. I said they rushed out to the merchandise, like, where can I get a piece of this? They were all good, and they were all delivered well beyond, you know, I mean, I've never seen Peter live before, but certainly Kenny's drummer was they were all great. So, Sunday was a murky afternoon at the at the amphitheater with Mojo Orchestra, but they were there. They had people coming and going, kind of under-promoted, at least signage-wise. And the brunch, the music was good, and the food was good. I think the Opera House team was amazing. I mean, we did have a lot of moving parts on Saturday night in particular. You know, we had 3 of these artists that are very temperamental. They want to get it right, so you have to deal with them. And Juniper did a good job. Juniper and
Yay,
Drew did a
Juniper.
really good job. She deserves a lot.
Yeah.
All these guys deserve a lot of applause. The sound guy, remind me his name. Noah just got a lot of, I was down in the green room, a lot of praise from the musicians on how good the sound was. The drummer for, I think your group, was raving about these old opera houses and how there's just a few of them around the country and they're just so great to play in. But Kenny, literally Sunday morning, Kenny's booking person would say Kenny was very happy. You know, he obviously, the last thing he said was, let's make this happen again, which was very nice of him to say. The weather Saturday was spectacular. I would say of the things that made me tense leading up to it, other than hearing that the drummer's flight from Newark was canceled Saturday morning, the weather was the big tense one, because I really wanted to do it outside. Sound company we hired was there on time with plenty of help. We were ahead of schedule, 5 bands. There was one guy in one of the bands that said, you're never gonna get this done in the time frame you've allotted. We were 5 to 10 minutes ahead of schedule all afternoon.
Great.
And, again, the artists were great. We had a couple people that were temperamental. One guy set his stuff up before the first act, right where the first act needed to set up, and refused to move it, which was just one of those things, but we made do. Everybody stayed calm and happy and peaceful. So again, all in all, I think it was really good. The things that we're already looking at next year. Mark the dates, June 11th to the 14th, which you'll note is a week before summer solstice. Summer solstice, I guess, whether it's solstice or not, is always the third Saturday of the month, so we find out. And I'm like, but it's not solstice. Anyway, don't get me started on solstice or not, but it's the week before. We're obviously cognizant of competition. I think competition hurt us at the lower priced events in particular, because I think people went to see Johnny Hoy and the Bluefish. People went to the summer solstice celebration with the Outer Space Band. There was stuff going on Friday night out at the Savage Oaks and other places. So you're never going to eliminate competition. Now we've got a year under our belt and some good praise. We've got a letter of the editor going in for me this week, or next week probably now. So we're going to get out early in terms of the dates. Carol's making a little card that just says save the date, Jazz in June 2020, so that we can put that up in selected places. And obviously the websites, we're going to archive 2019 and just start with teaser pages for 2020. So anyway, I think, we certainly should have and could have sold a lot more tickets, and we'll look to do that next year. We're talking just really without any kind of decisions made about a Thursday night party and then the dance after the party on Thursday night. And the party could be at some really cool location. I can't even mention them because I haven't talked to the people that own the locations yet, so I won't start it here now that we're somewhat public. But and then you would pay for the party and then stay for the dance, but people could get into the dance separately if they didn't want to pay for the party. And the reason Thursday night, for a couple reasons. One is graduation invariably will be on Friday night. And it's less crowded on Thursday night, yet it's still summer, and as long as we're undercover, we'd do something.
Exactly.
The Right Track were phenomenal. And then we're talking about two shows, Friday and Saturday night at the Opera House, 2 bands each night. The Friday night show would be a lesser ticket price, perhaps in the $25 to $30 range. The Saturday night show, depending on who we bring in as the feature artist, could be sort of in the $40 to $50 range. First of all, it gives you two, instead of having 3 acts, which while it was phenomenal, it is 11 o'clock at night, and we don't want to push our luck with that. So things I would change, I would say next year we're going to really shoot for the blueberry pancake breakfast on the harbor under a tent. It just has a more main feel.
Yes.
16 Baby did a wonderful job, but it was a fancy buffet
Right.
inside. I mean,
Right.
and I just like the idea of blueberry pancakes.
And
Plus you get more walk-ins down there. 'Cause
Yes,
you're
yes,
into
yes.
and the Lions and the Rotary. Kudos to the West Bay Rotary, who did a phenomenal job Saturday at the Snow Bowl. And then I think the Blue Cafe was a tremendous success, but I would limit other free events that doesn't bring money back into the Jazz in June group. I like to have a lot of, it's okay if a bar or a restaurant or a club or somebody has music in their lounge while they're selling drinks or dinner. That's what we'd like to have. I definitely think a schooner jazz evening cruise would be great. They've done it a few
yes.
times on their own, not connected to
Great
Jazz in June, but I
Yeah.
mean, you could slip one or two of them in there. But I think, I like the idea of multi-price tickets, so people can afford to go to a $15 show if they can't afford to go to a $50 show, or they can go to a $25 show instead of a $50 show. But free takes a little bit out of our pockets, and we're not looking to make huge money. It's a town event, but, so, that's,
I also think having 2 nights, Friday and Saturday, and the Thursday night party really turns it into a festival.
yeah, which
Which is, this time you could sort of get away with, it's a concert, but that would really make it a festival.
And Newport does that. Newport does a gala the Friday night, and then they have 3 days of music, but the party is sort of something that if you've been going for years, you want to go to that party.
Right.
And they have artists, and ideally, we could have an artist that's in for Friday or Saturday night play at the party. in some, maybe it's a soloist or a duo as opposed to the whole group, but,
Right.
that said, other than breathing, and as I told Peter, we had a couple frantic days afterwards. Dave and his staff and I met, and we did some downloading, but then we're all trying, I'm still kind of decompressing, but the list for next year has already started, you know, from simple things like I'm gonna get a new business card, so when I'm in Newport, I can hand it to a lot of people and talk to a lot of the jazz vendors that are there, the magazines and things. Get this teaser card out, update the website, and really start on the 501c3 process. And I'll be, Roseanne, I'll be calling you for sure, but, we've got a small group we wanna get,
Your way, it was just
we
that.
wanna get together. I've got a lot of paperwork, I've got actually bylaws and articles of incorporation from another music non-for-profit venue that my brother, who's a lawyer, did in Massachusetts. Obviously, we can't use them exactly, but it's a good framework.
Yeah.
Because their operating mission would be very similar to what ours is, in terms of bringing entertainment into a town and the community, and I'm gonna meet with Youth Arts, who has a very active program with the schools, and see what we can do to link up with them, because they are already getting grants to
That's
bring
great.
people into the schools, and there's no reason why we shouldn't sync. The only tricky thing about Jazz in June is it's at the end of school. And, you know, I'd love to rope in the high school jazz band for something. Maybe they could play at the party. I'd love to get the Maine Jazz Band involved.
Yep.
So needless to say, the list is already pretty long. My wife saw her list this morning and went, well, come on, give me a break. I want to garden this summer. I want to, you know, play my ukulele. Anyway, so that's it. It worked well. Thanks to everybody who contributed. And, you know, we had a lot of use out of the weekend passes. We didn't sell enough of them, but the people that had them took full advantage. I don't know how many people came to Blue Cafe and then went out to the dance, or vice versa.
There's a lot of people.
A lot of people doing that. We had pretty much 97% of the passes got used at the jazz brunch. At least that's the count we got. And which was quite expensive for us. Another reason for blueberry pancakes is we can pay less money per patron. So,
Where are the blueberry pancakes? Where would they be served?
well, it's currently down at Windjammer Weekend, and maybe one other time.
Yeah, they do it
put a
right on
big
the-
tent right on the,
Like, just
On the
put a
harbor.
tent out.
yeah, right down on the town parking lot there.
They got it down.
Yeah, and they do it really well. And last year, it just got too late, we had two people, like the Lions and one of the Rotaries was kind of fighting to see who would do it. So, I forget who does it for the Windjammer Weekend. One of them does it, but, anyway, I think that would be a great fundraiser for them, and also a great way to offer our guests something sort of
Definitely.
Maney.
Yeah, definitely.
And the only other comment I have is at least two band members, Kenny's Barron's drummer, Jonathan Blake, who's a fantastic drummer and world renowned, just kept saying, you know, I want to come back for those lobster sandwiches. I love those lobster sandwiches. So,
Good.
He was
Anyway.
amazing.
And I like the idea of the boat,
oh yeah,
because I have seen the boats going up the Thames,
oh sure.
and everyone's jiggling up and down to the music, you know, and it always looks such a happy occasion.
I myself played on one of those boats on the Thames
Did you?
some years ago. Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
But anyway, yeah, so what I want to do is try to figure out in my own mind whether it's me being calm or just not the work, because the weather was such an integral part of
Indeed it is.
what we did. And we ended up spending $500 to reserve space we didn't use, which was good insurance at the upfront, but maybe we buy insurance next time
Yes,
instead of
yes,
something.
yes.
So anyway, we got a year. David?
Yay.
Two quick things, if I may. First of all, I just want to say, nobody really knows how much work Matt did.
Exactly.
It couldn't have happened without him, and I say,
Yes,
Yes,
bravo.
yes to that, very much so.
and number two, I'm just curious, and Beth, you can answer this too. you know, because it sort of began as an idea with the lodging community, saying this would be great for us, I'm wondering, did you get any feedback from folks in the lodging community? Did they feel it at all, or?
Here, let me tell you a fascinating tidbit about, we didn't have anybody stay at our inn, but I was talking to your wife Saturday night during the show, and she said she was surprised by the number of people that were coming, and they were from out of state, so Connecticut and things like that. So I spoke to a woman leaving Saturday evening, and I said, well, how'd you find out about us? And she said, well, the inn that we're staying at ran a special, and that's how they knew. And
Wow,
they came
that's
up,
great.
and they were staying at, I think the Camden Harbor Inn.
Yeah.
And they did a ton of stuff, so they came to the Saturday show, they went out to
Yeah.
the Snow Bowl during the day on Saturday. So I do think, in some regards, that there was a marketing component that the inns were doing. I mean, I did blog posts, I know others put packages together. I don't have a clear idea from our association if people bought into that. We haven't had a meeting, but,
I will go to the next lodging meeting and solicit
good.
that.
Good.
What my anecdotal is, and it's fairly anecdotal, is some people did actually sell packages, but like maybe Hawthorne had one package and maybe Captain Swift had one package. So it wasn't like we filled the rooms.
No.
But I did get people that were here and found out about it once they got here
Right.
and came to events. So and certainly everybody was informed. I think a lot of this, the lodging component, is really about, building. Every year you build. I tried to get up the aisle between acts Saturday night and had more people I didn't know talk about this as I was going up the aisle. And I just think that's, I kept saying, well, tell your friends, we'll be back next year, we'd love to, we need your support. Short of handing them like a prepaid envelope to say, drop whatever you need into it, but I do think it's coming off a success. We need to capitalize on the success as early as we can, we need to build on it, and I think a lot of people, as I said, when we started this, people thought it was me who was gonna try to make money as a promoter. I mean, that literally was what we were getting, I was hearing back in, we had to have meetings with Audra so that people know, oh no, this is not Matt making money, he's a volunteer, this is a town thing.
Yeah.
So I think we build on that, and I think we go out to the people and say, we did have one very generous donor who sort of helped us get to where we got financially, and if we hadn't, we would have been in a bigger hole. Doesn't mean it wasn't a success it's like some of the acts we booked this year. Some of the best shows we lost money on, but they were still the best shows, and everybody left going, oh my God, thank God for bringing Ranky Tanky to Camden, or Birds of Chicago to Camden, so. Anyway, that's sort of where, other than 501c3, and that's where we want to really hit it hard in the next couple months. We want to have in fact, I'm going to work with the lodging group, because one year, Camden Area Business Group, about 3 years ago, did a card that had all the events for the upcoming year on the card, and it was handed out any time of the year through the lodging, and we had it. I'd like to do that in time for Windjammer Weekend, so they can get a card that says, Toboggan is this, Camden is Blooming is this, Jazz in June is this. So for 2020, so people can get something and say, mark your calendars, get it in your book, because any of that stuff, it just helps. And again, I think, I don't normally spend 3 days at the Jazz Festival, but there's a lot of, even though it's a big festival, there's a lot of informal chatting going on. You can pretty much get backstage at all 3 stages and without being obnoxious. And really try to talk it up there too. Downbeat's already said we're really excited, and maybe we'll even come next year, and so, but all that helps. And we had 3 or 4 people say, yeah, I saw it in Downbeat, and I bought my tickets really early because of the Downbeat festival thing, so.
Great.
One thing to add, a year ago, this didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
It's first year, and it didn't exist a year ago. And to establish anything in that amount of time is extraordinary.
And I think that should help us with competition. Because nobody knew what this was gonna be, even up going
Yeah.
into it. But now that they, they'll say, hey, maybe the board of X goes, maybe we shouldn't put it on that date,
Right.
because they're gonna do the festival on that date,
Yeah.
or they'll come to us and say, we wanna do something too, in that case, we'll have to make a different decision, but we can't stop them, but,
Sorts of
so.
possibilities.
You can always do, if the Strand wanted to get involved, you could always,
Right.
you could do your film there.
True, and I've talked to Ben, and other than he's getting ready for his big summer kickoff party, he was great. Ben's a good salesman, Ben Fowley, who runs, Points North. We said, yeah, let's get together. Oh, and by the way, we got a great band coming on July 6th, and it's $30, feel free to, we'd love you to come down, so.
A couple of things, yeah, just to echo what everybody said, the caliber of the acts, of the artists performing, how, the number of them, how smoothly everything went. And it was just your first year, so I mean, just amazing kudos for getting them here, but then just having everything run so smoothly and, yeah, even with the great weather, so that was amazing. A couple of quick things, one is the Thursday night thing, I was thinking it's a great idea to kind of have a like impromptu, like a soft like kickoff. It's also a nice thing for a sponsor, right, especially if you get an artist
Yeah.
that's gonna be, the featured artist on Friday, they do a thing for, your sponsor to do their, special event. The other thing I know we talked about, you just didn't have time, but food as a component of this, and it's also another way to kind of just highlight this local area, right? Because you can get local chefs, you can get local producers, right? I know that he's not from Camden, Kerry Altiero does a lot of this kind of stuff, he's Cafe Miranda.
Yeah, you
does a
should
lot
talk
of
to
the
him. He's
pancake
very
breakfast. Yeah, I mean, I'm very close, but I mean, just pancake breakfast, but also all the catering things, and there's tons of other people, but I think that that's, another good way to get local businesses and feature what else you can do here, right, in this area. Cause it's a draw for the customers, it's a draw for, the
Yeah.
businesses, the press, the whole thing, so, yeah, very exciting.
Yeah,
People gotta eat.
people gotta eat.
There's
Especially
good
if you're out
food
there all
here.
day, right?
Yeah,
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, having been the chairman of Cabbage and been a member of Cabbage for 5 years now, it's been very, very difficult to get restaurants involved in anything, in terms of, even though they probably benefit more than anybody when we bring people into town.
sure.
Secondly, I really want to keep it in Camden, so Cafe Miranda is
Even
great.
with SIF, they're like, all the restaurants are like, there's no coordination, because all the shows let out at the same time, right? You would think
People
that the
gotta eat.
restaurants would figure out some kind of way to move them quickly or
It's
quicker,
difficult,
or-
but it's not saying it's not, it's a good idea, it's just a
Yeah.
question
I
of
would
how do you
just
mobilize
suggest
people.
talking to the Camden Harbor Inn, and maybe doing a quiet jazz evening.
So they were great supporters in many, many ways. They held some of our artists. They were gonna do a jazz thing. Their problem is they would conflicted with our concerts, and they don't wanna do anything after 10 o'clock at night because of their guests. So I talked to them back in February about it, and they were amazingly supportive, and then I said, and here's a list, and you could have like a duo, and they said, if your show lets out, that's when we thought our show would let out at 10. By then, we have to shut it down, because people are paying a lot of money for these rooms, and if we have one complaint,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
that's, we're not a nightlife town.
No.
But I agree, I tried to get music in a lot of places. The Whitehall wanted to do something, they never came through, but everybody's got a lot going on, I'm not, can't criticize anybody, because we didn't get everything done we wanted to get done.
Right.
So, but it's year 2, so,
Yeah.
Good.
Amazing.
so much for getting out of here early, go.
It was awesome. You
Thank
did
you.
a
It was
fantastic
good.
job.
Absolutely.
New business, and this is good. Thanks, Dave. And you should thank yourself, because that's more you than me.
Selfish.
Anybody interested in being the secretary, the person that takes the diligent notes for the meeting and then sends them to Dave to send out, or they could send out.
I was just here a second ago.
I was just talking. Wow, don't all jump at once.
Well,
I mean,
I'm just gonna say, I normally would volunteer for that, but my theater production schedule often will limit me from being at every meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
But
We'll
having done that in the past, I would say yes.
Why don't y'all think on it? Just have a think, and we're not gonna have another meeting until August. We're skipping July. So we will have a better gauge, and we'll have maybe, is everybody here? No, we're missing Kristen, right?
We're missing Kristen and Roland.
And Roland, you see, there are two out
Oh,
there
yeah.
who we could, say.
You could have signed.
I could do that.
Perhaps we should vote.
Yeah.
All those in favor of Roland?
That's hilarious.
If you're watching at home, you just.
Sorry, Roland.
Yep.
That's what you,
Teaches people
Need to be
never
at
to miss a meeting.
So, just chew on it, and we'll make a decision August meeting, if that works. August 27th?
I would say that I took minutes twice as a fill-in in Camden Area Business Group, and when we went to the next meeting to approve them, multiple people said, that's not what happened in the meeting.
oh, really?
Well, that's why, because now I don't have to do it anymore, because I was screwed.
Oh, it wasn't even that meeting. I made this up.
That's right. I got it online, like a term paper, like I need minutes for something. This is kind of what it's like, and just printed it out.
So, August 27th here, 6:30.
Got it.
Anybody have anything they would like to throw in, say? Peter, you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
It
Yeah.
was really, it was just a joy. That whole night was magical. It really was. Okay, if we're all good, then,
I'll say one thing, because it's the end of the fiscal year, and I think it's been an incredible year. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's your first full year, yeah?
First full
Fiscal year.
Yeah, no, I think everything's
On an even
so
keel.
far, so quickly, so well, so thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that, and I just have to say, Juniper has been fabulous. Karina was great, and Dagny's off to
Yeah.
a great start. Our
Yeah.
house managers are great. I mean, it's a whole takes a village thing. There's a lot of people working really hard, so kudos to all of them who aren't here tonight.
And the feedback from the community, at least the feedback that I get a lot of it at various places I'm hanging, has been amazing. I mean, it's just night and day in terms of Blue Cafe and some of the acts and Cinematheque, everything that, it's been really, really.
One of the things at Blue Cafe, the Jazz in June Blue Cafe, a lot of people have never been there before, first time. And,
Really?
Yeah, and,
That
I
drew them
think
in,
that's,
though.
it was attracting a new audience, so.
Good.
Every time we do something, a whole new group of people discover the Opera House, which is great.
Well, if I may just take this 2-minute lead-in
Oh,
from
boy.
you.
oh my God.
This is a new thing we're starting. Thank you, films, free movies, as a way of saying thank you to the community. We will, of course, happily accept donations at these movies. But in our next sort of MailChimp that goes out, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about how much we appreciate the enthusiasm of the community and how great they've been. And Blue Cafe, Scott Cleveland was the first one we did last year. We had a big crowd and it was a lot of fun. Ian Stewart is a young comedian from Portland, so this is kind of new territory, but I thought I'd like to do comedy up there. And I'm hoping that he's sort of young and hip and from out of town. Mariana Filippi was one of our biggest shows last year.
Mariana.
Composer and accordionist.
Okay, yeah.
And isn't she working with someone else, a bassist, Chalice is coming in with
Yeah,
her?
she's creating a whole new work,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And then Hiroya Sakamoto is a world-class acoustic guitar player. He came through the Berkeley program, and he's touring, and it was kind of a long shot. He sort of reached out and said, I'd love to play the Opera House, and I said, this is the problem, the auditorium's an awesome space, but it's a 500-seat space. And something that needs to be intimate and doesn't draw a big crowd, I didn't want to go there, but I said, boy, we have this small intimate space that I think would be magic if you'd consider it. And so we sort of made it worth his while. We got a nice room for him and, you know, so.
The Blackberry Inn, I'm throwing that out there. Thank you, Blackberry Inn.
Yeah.
Anyone who's listening.
So he's touring past us, and this was worth his while enough to say, sure, I'll do it. So
Cool.
I'm excited about that. And then Diado is this kind of cool young band, and I just know about them because they are related to the Stanchioffs.
Really?
Eshta, who
Oh,
I just know because my wife worked at Ashwood and she went to school there, but they're great and they're gonna be home for Thanksgiving.
oh,
They're on
nice.
tour, they're touring nationally, and they live in Asheville, North Carolina, I think. But they're like, oh, we're home for Thanksgiving, sure, we'll do a show.
Cool.
So,
And thank you, Blue Harbor, for Ian, for the comedian. Thank you.
Yeah.
yeah, my hopes are high for that, so we'll see. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Anyone? Anyone?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Nice.
I'll second.
Motion to
All in
adjourn.
favor?
You and I are gonna sit
Thank
next to each other and do
Thank you,
that
everybody.
whenever necessary.
Did you make that present?
Give us time.
7:30?
All right.
Not even an hour. All right, crazy.
And nobody wants to